This show is presented by Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute.
On today's show, we'll check out the highlights from the Creekside versus Bartram Trails swimming tournament. We'll also listen to Jacksonville Orthopedics Dr. Hudson Berry's speech from our spring sports banquet. Our athlete of the week is Patrick Coyle from Bishop Kenny High School. We'll also check out video from the First Coast Games kickball tournament. We'll sit down with players from the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. And lastly, we'll look at the highlights from Bishop Snyder versus Episcopal in baseball. We'll be right back. It's time for ITG Next. I'm Haley Rash.
And I'm Nathan Dean. We'd like to take this time to thank our sponsors, the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute and the First Coast YMCA.
We are very used to covering sports like football, baseball, and softball, but now we're starting to learn that fictional sports are coming to life.
And that's exactly right. There are actually some sports out there in movies and television that we've always wanted to play, and now we're starting to find ways that we can participate in them.
Starting off today's show, we're going to learn more about Quidditch, so get ready, all you Potterheads. In the film and book series, Quidditch is a game that involves two teams of 7 players flying over a field on broomsticks. The object of the game is to get the quaffle, aka a volleyball, through the opposing team's goal. At the same time, one player from each team tries to catch the golden snitch, which looks like a small golden sphere with wings. Quidditch is extremely popular on college campuses across the country. The students play exactly like the characters from the books and films, however, without the flying brooms.
Well, I'm not a huge Harry Potter fan, but when I did see that scene playing Quidditch, that was definitely a sport I wanted to try out.
Yes, and actually in middle school, in PE class, we actually tried to play Quidditch, and I remember it was super fun.
Well, I'm definitely jealous of that because I've always wanted to play, but maybe now I'll get a chance to check it out. Well, heading over from Quidditch, now we're going to be heading out to the basketball court. What may have started as a joke has turned into a real sport. Basketball is a combination of basketball and baseball and originates from the 1998 comedy film of the same name. Basketball consists of 2 teams with 4 to 8 players each. The game lasts for 9 innings and the field is set up with 4 bases, just like baseball. Shooting spots or basketball hoops are placed all around the field. When a player makes a basket from one of the shooting spots, they move however many number of bases that spot represents. It may sound easy, but while a player tries to shoot, a player from the opposing team tries to psych out the shooter to try to make them miss. If that player misses that shot, it results in 1 out for the team.
That's funny, Nathan. I thought you were saying basketball wrong, but you were just talking about that fictional sport,
it's
basketball.
Definitely hard to say, but it's something that we could definitely try out now.
Yeah, and next we're going to be talking about one of the most famous shows out there, Battlestar Galactica, which has its own version of an extreme sport called Pyramid. Pyramid is a fast-paced game combining the skill with both speed and force. It is a combination of football and basketball, but also includes elements of baseball and rugby. The game is played with teams of 3 to 8 people. The objective is to throw the ball into the goal that is placed at the top of the pyramid. Players cannot take more than 3 steps without shooting, passing, or bouncing the ball off one of the walls. The center and corners of the court are considered neutral zones, meaning that the player holding the ball cannot be tackled while inside. Once they step outside of the neutral zones, the player can be tackled and they then must pass the ball to the other team.
Well, for all of us Office fans out there, we all know a lot about Battlestar Galactica, but you are not a big Office
I was
person.
enlightened this week from Nathan and our videographer Kendra, and now I need to start watching The Office.
You definitely need to get on that. For all the Battlestar Galactica fans out there might even be more Star Trek fans out there, as they were the ones to bring 3-dimensional chess to life. The game is played by 2 opponents, and the chessboard is made up of 3 main boards and 4 movable attack boards. Each main board is a 4x4 grid, and each attack board is a 2x2 grid. The lowest board is the white board, the middle is the neutral board, and the highest is the black board. Any move that can be made a traditional game of chess can be made in a game of 3D chess. The main difference between traditional chess and 3D chess is that the player can decide what level they want their piece to land on, since the overlapping squares are of the same color. There can also be 2 pieces of the same or different colors inhabiting the same square, but on different levels.
All right, all of these fictional games are starting to mess with my mind, and I feel like I need just one rule book for them all.
Yeah, we do need a lot of rule books for these games, but they do sound extremely interesting, and now we can actually check them out ourselves.
Yeah, and going to a real sport that we're all very aware of, the Jacksonville Jaguars just recently signed 4 kids here in Jacksonville to be a part of the team for a day.
And that's right, our photo of the week is of these 4 kids from the Community Peds Care who helped the Jaguars get through one of their most recent OTA practices. And now heading over to our video of the week, which is UCLA softball, who ended up winning the national championship against Oklahoma in Game 2 thanks to a walk-off to give them an 8-7 victory and take home the national championship.
And now let's check out the highlights from the Creekside versus Bartram Trails in swimming.
Well, definitely for the meet today, we're bringing an aggressive lineup. We're really looking to have a repeat win on the girls' side. We did beat Bartram in the dual meet last year. And for the boys to actually have their first win against Bartram. They haven't won against Bartram for quite a few years. The key to our program is depth. We have a lot of key swimmers on our program. We have seniors, Shannon Campbell, 2 individuals, 2 relays, all the way down to freshmen. Anna Moore, also the same, 2 individuals, 2 relays, should be top in her events. On the boys' side, I have a strong depth in seniors. Ian Cooper, one of my seniors, has been breaking the team record in the 53 every single week that he's been in the pool. So he's going to be, again, showcasing in the freestyle and his relay events, as well as Nick Kellinker, Michael Morton, Aiden Henry. We just have a great lineup of boys. And I'm very proud of my captains this year. They have created a Wednesday focus. They send out inspirational quotes or videos or thoughts that pertain to swimming to really try to get those freshmen, pumped up before the races, but understanding what we do on the deck, both in the mornings when we practice and the days of the meets.
Dr. Hudson Berry from the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute was our latest speaker at our spring sports banquet. He gave a great speech and a background of his life in the military, leading him into the medical field.
But about 50 years ago, maybe a little longer, I was sitting where you athletes are sitting tonight. I grew up in the Army. I married the daughter of an Army soldier. I spent 25 years in the Army myself. I am passionate about our country, our values, our freedoms, and the sacrifices that have been made to keep us free. Our country is a noble experiment in the history of man. The man can govern himself without resorting to tyranny and preserving our freedoms. You are lucky to be living in the greatest and most free nation on earth, and you have enjoyed the benefits of living in this time, which has allowed each of you to develop your gifts, talents, and skills. Savor this moment. Why was I asked to speak this evening? Well, I guess everybody else was busy. But what can I tell you that's going to mean anything to you and remember? Well, I think the first and biggest lesson is that you get back what you put into it. If you don't put much in, you're not going to get much back, no matter how talented you are. You know, great potential is a terrible epitaph if you don't fulfill that potential. You always must be working as hard as you can, because there's always somebody else working just as hard, and they may want it worse than you do. And there'll only be room for one of you. Make sure it's you. But every patient has taught me something. I've learned from everybody. Things don't always work out or go well the way you had it planned. But even now, after doing this for about 40 years, I plan surgery carefully and I review my anatomy. Those are the fundamentals. You can't forget your fundamentals, much like in sports. Also, as I've preached to my students and my residents over the years, even my junior colleagues, you have to be your own worst critic. Even when you're doing your best and things are going well, you should go back and say, hey, what could I have done better?
Patrick Coyle, I go to Bishop Kenny High School, and I'm a pole vaulter. My most memorable moment in my sports career will probably be the fact I went to States my sophomore year, and that was just great. It showed me I could do it. Hopefully I end up in medical school to be a trauma surgeon for the Army. Over the summer I worked for Ocean Rescue at Huguenot Park, and just working with people hands-on in traumatic situations maybe showed me I wanted to do it. My biggest help is most likely my coach at Jacksonville Athletic Club. He taught me how to jump, and he's been with me all 4 years through the ups and the downs, and he's been keeping me on straight. The best advice I'd say he gave me is that pole vaulting is nothing to think about. It's just if you just try your best and do the sport, you'll excel. Makes me different from most likely would be all the medical problems I've had through my 4 years. I've had 2 surgeries, torn labrums, just a bunch of problems, and just keeping on track through those things. Because you're an athlete and you get injured doesn't mean you're done being an athlete. Just stay on straight and work through that bad part, and you'll come out stronger on the other side. My biggest sports inspiration is most likely the pole vaulter who went to my school before me, David Bell. I grew up with him, and he was the one who first introduced me to pole vaulting, and then he set the school record, so my inspiration is to beat it. If I could play any other sport, it'd probably be football, because my dad played, and I wanted to follow in his steps, but medical problems kept me out of it. What I do is I visualize the jumps and critique in my head what I know I need to do to make sure I get the heights I need, and I say a quick prayer and I'm in. My name is Patrick Gerard McLeod Coyle, and I am living in the game.
This show is presented by First Coast YMCA.
Well, the First Coast YMCA is still putting on their annual First Coast Games. Now, obviously, these sports include basketball, football, and even Topgolf. Well, let's check out some highlights from their kickball tournament.
My name is Brian Strickland. I work at Availity as an account manager.
Hi, this is Patty Reed. I'm with JP Morgan Chase & Company.
My name is Angel Mayenberg. Work for SS&C Advent.
Well, it's always been important to me to do First Coast Games and other company-wide events outside of the office just because it's a great team-building exercise. I mean, to get everybody out here, we're able to talk about things other than work. It's really important, and you're able to, I guess, get more familiar on that level instead of just busy, busy, busy all the time. So it's very important.
So as the company co-captain, this is our 4th year with sponsoring the games. And I can tell you this, each and every year we do a feedback survey on it. And what the people love the best is just getting out here. They're starting on a healthy track or they're continuing on a healthy track. They're out here having fun. They're playing games they hadn't played since they were kids. So, and it's really neat because then they start making all these challenges every year between the other companies they do. So Deutsche Bank and JP Morgan Chase have a rivalry, or Deutsche Bank and Baptist have a rivalry. So it's a lot of fun each and every year to see the same people come out, have fun, getting healthy, networking, and playing some games they haven't played since they were kids.
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, we come out here, we bond, get to meet different people, people that we wouldn't normally meet during a normal work day. So we get to bond with different departments. It's pretty fun.
So you get to know, like I mentioned, on a different level, the people that you work with on a daily basis. And I think it comes up often, the people you work with, you spend a lot of time with them. They can be called your work family in a lot of cases. So to get to know your work family, I think that just carries itself a long way to be able to say, you're this individual outside of work and I respect you because you have a family, or what you do outside of work for the community is a really big deal. So you get to hear about a lot more of that stuff.
It's awesome. You get to network with different companies, get to network with coworkers within the company that you don't usually do, and you just have a good time. So.
Contact Dana Troger or go to firstcoastymca.org and check out the First Coast Games. It's a great way to start a fitness program, include it in your company's wellness program, have fun, get to meet a lot of people, and get to know a whole lot more about Jacksonville and the why and what's going on in your community.
Well, baseball is in full swing here in Jacksonville, Florida with our Jumbo Shrimp, and the ITG Next team actually got to go to a recent home game.
That we did, and we were able to sit down with Coach Kevin Randall to talk about the season.
The fan base here in the Southern League in Jacksonville has been outstanding. I believe we have one of the best fan bases. The Jumbo Shrimp name brings a lot of people to the yard. A beautiful place to play, beautiful weather here in Jacksonville. But the crowd, you know, late in the game when you hear them, it's much appreciated.
We've done a lot as a pitching staff together. I mean, for a stretch of time, we were throwing up 2 ERA as a staff. It's funny because I was just talking to someone today. I'm like, I have one of the highest ERAs, and I have a 3.46. You know, it's actually really great to see that in Double A. 3.46 is actually pretty decently, and to know that I'm one of the higher ERAs, and then that just shows how great our staff really is.
Every day counts. Every throw you do, and just playing catch in the bullpen, everything you do counts. So don't take things lightly. Don't just kind of go through the motions. You know, especially at this level, you take one day off and it can come back to bite you.
Last thing was energy. I mean, we were kind of dead for a little while, and then once we hit the home run, and then that's when it kick-started everything, and all of a sudden we scored 3 in the next inning. So it's just an energy thing. I think that really helps us win the ball game last night.
We had a plan with these guys. We already faced them before, so we kind of just stuck with that, and our offense came through last night, which was huge.
Yeah, from the beginning of the season, I've told people, you have a great team, you know, but it's a matter of putting it together and having the bond that we did last night. So even though we were down in the seventh inning, we came back and we won it. You know, it's just one of those things that the tighter we get, the closer we get together as a team, the better we'll be.
We're doing a good job lately. I just think putting it all together. You know, sometimes we hit and then we don't pitch very well, or we pitch very well and then we don't. Our offense is on the downside. You know, but I know when we put it all together, we can be one of the better teams in this league.
It could be, you know, it's just a long process, but if they just take it one day at a time, new day, new opportunity, you know, it just presents itself. It's a great day.
Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute, the official sports medicine provider of the Jacksonville Sharks.
Well, high school baseball here in Jacksonville just finished wrapping up, but two local teams just battled it out for a very important matchup.
Yes, Episcopal versus Bishop Snyder baseball game is coming up next.
Well, really, I expect what we've done all year long. Really, these guys have come together as a team and played together as a team and played for each other. You know, we've kind of been the underdog all year, and I don't think tonight is any different. You know, we're blessed to be in this atmosphere around four great teams that all have an opportunity to win the district championship. So we certainly are going to get out there and play as hard as we have all year long as a team.
You set an example. Let it be a good one. Now, in the name of the Father.
Oh my goodness, certainly this is probably the team that likes each other the most. You know, I mean, to talk about truly a team, certainly there's some great players on this team, but really they've come together as a collective group to be, you know, successful, you know, together. And this is certainly a playoff atmosphere, you know, with Trinity Christian and Providence going head to head. It doesn't get any better than that. You know, one of these guys has to go home. So it's really, you know, winning in or you know, lose and go home. So playoff atmosphere kind of gives you a little something different, you know. Certainly a lot more on the line. You know what, tonight I've gotten phone calls from guys that have played for me the last, you know, 15, 20 years that are going to come out tonight and kind of take a look and see what we're doing. You know, the excitement, you know, to be able to send some of these guys on to the next level, to give them opportunities. You know, but more than not, it's going to be the guys that come back and as fathers, you know, and as men that say thank you for everything that, you know, that we as coaches didn't necessarily even realize we were doing at the time. You know, we thought the kid didn't didn't like you at all, you know, because you gave him that hard love, but he comes back and says thank you for all those things. So that's really the most exciting thing for me, you know. So that's pretty it.
We hope you enjoyed today's show. A special thank you to our sponsors, the First Coast YMCA and the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute.
And be sure to check out our What's Next segment where we look into the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp and the remainder of their season on our YouTube page.
And be sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms. You can find us at ITG Next.
And if you have an inspiring story, please feel free to reach out to us through our social media handles, and also check out our website, itgnext.com, where you can see some of our apparel, history of our company, and also what we'll be doing in the near future.
I'm Haley Rush.
And I'm Nathan Dean. Thank you for watching this edition of ITG Next.